This weekend, I will post project description for our first programming project. Yeah. We are ready. Yeah. After today's class, we will be ready for the first programming project. Yeah. Okay, yeah, no problem. Yeah. All right, D.1, I like to talk about Bootstrap. So one CSS library we can use, but we just use the minimum, very little. Don't worry. So here I just give you some experience. With this first project, try to let you experience, several basic level technologies. So this Bootstrap is another one. Use Bootstrap. So first we need to use this Bootstrap, but there are three versions. Yeah. So here, if you want to study this topic, you still use the W3 schools. Yeah. In W3 schools, when you look at the tutorials, there are three versions tutorials about this Bootstrap. Yeah. All right. So what's the difference? B3, B4, B5, three versions. Yeah. The main difference, these three. B3, based on the jQuery, or B3, B4, these two versions underlying because there are many dynamic features inside this library. Yeah. So dynamic features implemented by jQuery. But B5 version, for some reason, it does not use the jQuery, just use the, JavaScript. Yeah. So here you can see, newer version. Yeah, B5 newer version does not rely on jQuery for some reason. Yeah. But for our project, I only want to use one specific feature, one little, not very big one, very small feature. So I want, so here I give you some, description about this Bootstrap. Yeah. All right. How to include? Yeah. Later I will talk about, the difference. Yeah. How to include? CDN, right? Remember? How do we include jQuery? Yeah. Two different ways, right? Yeah. Here, the same two different ways. You can download Bootstrap library, zip file. You can download. Put it in your local directory, appropriate location, so your web application can access. Yeah, that's the first way. Second way, CDN. We do not need to download. We just include that CDN link. Yeah. Download and CDN, these two ways. Yeah. Here I only talk about CDN way. Yeah. In order to use this Bootstrap library, you need to include these three links. Yeah. Three links. Yeah. Just a minute. Because here, look at it. So here I use the version, Bootstrap version. Yeah. So here, early versions. Yeah. So we need to also include jQuery. Yeah. jQuery. Yeah. And then you can use all the features. Yeah. All right. All right. Then, now I talk about the main feature we need to use from Bootstrap. Those little graphical icons. Yeah. So here I took screenshot, part of it, yeah, because total there are 200 something. 200 something, this kind of graphical icons, little icons. We can use on our buttons, yeah. Buttons, icons, so people can, understand, can guess, the actions needed for these buttons. Yeah. So for our Tangram puzzle, we need to add a sequence of buttons, right? Several buttons. Yeah. So when we add buttons, you choose appropriate. There's some names. So glyphicon. Glyphicons, the names of these little icons. Yeah. Because these icons were created from a company. Yeah. Yeah. So now this part of technology, it does not belong to Bootstrap. It does not belong to Bootstrap. So they sign some contract to use. Yeah. And this feature is only available in B3 version. Not available in B4 version, B5 version. Yeah, because, the contract expires, right? Things like that. Okay. Yeah, but still available in B3 version. Yeah. So for this project, we need to use the B3 version. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. Just get some experience. Very small. Yeah. All right? So let you feel about it. Yeah. All right. Yeah, so you need to choose this appropriate version in your project. Then you can use these graphics on your buttons as the icons for your buttons. Yeah. All right. How to include? Yeah, very easy. You just use this element with appropriate CSS classes. Yeah. Here we use 2 CSS classes. Yeah. The first class, glyphicon. The class name is glyphicon. First class. Then space. Yeah. In between there is a space character. Okay, space separate 2 different class names. The second class name, glyphicon dash name. Yeah. Just copy this line. Yeah. I will post another example. Yeah. So all these things you can, copy paste from my example. Yeah. Yeah. For last class, I posted 2 examples. Yeah. Now you can download. Yeah. This afternoon, I did a few hours ago, 2 examples. One, drag and drop jQuery version, zip code. Yeah. In part D1, so you can find that zip code. Second, hide and show. Yeah, hide and show. Yeah, that small example. Yeah. Another zip file. Yeah, you can see. Then you download. This class, I will post another example. Yeah, I will explain that example after this slide. Yeah. In that example, first, you have those 3 CDN links in the previous slide. CDN links, you can copy paste. Also, to use this glyphicons, yeah, so you can copy paste, this line to use in a button. Yeah. All right, then, yeah. In the W3 schools, you can get a whole list of these glyphicons with appropriate names. These are the names, okay? Yeah, because when you use, for example, when you use this Glyphicon. Yeah, so you copy this whole thing there. You replace this graphical dash name by graphical dash download, and so on. Okay, yeah. So the name by the specific names. Yeah. Then refresh the page, you can see it. Yeah. But we put it in a button. Yeah. When we use a button element, we include this in our button. Yeah. In my example, you can see it. Yeah. How do I associate it with a button? Yeah. Very easy, straightforward. Yeah. All right. Next, yeah. Let me explain the example I will give you. Rotate a figure. Yeah. Rotation. Right? Yeah. So in our 10-gram puzzle, yeah, you need to rotate each figure. You need to rotate by certain angle. We need to write code to do that rotation, figure rotation. Yeah. So this example, I give you the code on this figure's rotation feature. Yeah, very simple. Yeah. Yeah. So you do the similar things. Yeah. All right, so what is the example? Yeah, example very simple. So I include two triangles. So these two triangles, so I use two images. Yeah, so I screenshot cut, two images, two are triangles. But in our first project, the figures, we will use the CSS way. We will not use image, because image, when you do manipulations, not as easy as the CSS way. Now, image, when you do overlapping, so not very friendly. But here, because we only need to do, I only want to show you the rotation feature. So I do not need to consider, other, so the relationship among different figures. I do not need to worry about that part. Yeah, so I just use two images. Yeah. All right. Then I use Glyphicon. Yeah, so I show you how to use. Left figure, I use this shape, Glyphicon, to control left figure rotation. Right figure, I use another similar but slightly different from the left one, Glyphicon, to control the right figure. Okay, so when I click it, I rotate it by certain degree. Okay, yeah. Then look at the code. Yeah. Let me explain the main idea of the code. Yeah. All right. Two span elements with the following CSS properties. We need to use CSS properties to control the rotations. Yeah. Last time, our drag and drop example, we use CSS properties to control the, drag and drop, mouse, cursor, locations, right? Locations given by the mouse cursor. We use the CSS properties to control the coordinates. Here, we also, similar property control way, but because we need to control the degree of the rotation. Degree, there is a certain degree. Yeah. How to change, how to update degrees for each figure. Yeah, okay? All right. Yeah. Inside the value of style, still, the property part, we know, a list of properties inside the style attribute of two span elements. Two span elements. All right. All right. Yeah. Then, the particular property we need to work on, transform property. Yeah. Inside style, we can add a transform property. Okay. the property name is called a transform, colon, the property value, look at the property value, okay? Yeah. So here the value like a function call, okay? It likes a function call, okay? Rotate, parenthesis, insert an integer number, yeah? Degree, DEG, yeah. Yeah. Certain number of degree, yeah, but you need to give a appropriate integer value that provides the degree number. Yeah. Yeah. In geometry, you know how to understand that degree, the angle, right? Yeah. So here you just use the basic geometry understanding of degree. Yeah. So x-axis, this line, yeah, okay, the angle, this line, so that's our starting line, degree 0. Okay. Then we do rotation counterclockwise. That's the positive direction of rotation, right? Yeah. So in geometry, that's our, usual rule to understand the degrees for rotation operation. Yeah. Yeah. But if you do negative rotation, yeah, clockwise rotation, you use negative number, negative degree. Okay? Yeah. So here we use the same way. Yeah. Same way as in the geometry or arithmetics. Yeah. Understanding. Yeah. All right. Then next step, I need to explain how to control the degree number, because you need to modify it. You need to change, but you only want to change this number. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. So you want to keep other parts, yeah, because you need to follow the syntax. Yeah. So this is the syntax format. But the degree number, you want to change it. All right? Yeah. So here we use the JavaScript functions to change that degree number. All right. First, we need to extract the degree number, right? Yeah. Yeah. For each figure has an initial degree number. Initial 0, yeah, 0. But we need to extract, because after you rotate that figure a few times, then the current degree number won't be 0. There is a certain number for the current degree number. You need to extract the current degree number, okay, after a few rotations. Yeah. So we need to write a code to extract the degree number for selected figure. Currently, we select this particular figure. We need to extract that degree number. Yeah. How to do it? Yeah. 2 ways, JavaScript way and the jQuery way. Yeah. JavaScript way, straightforward way. jQuery, we need to use special jQuery functions. Yeah. JavaScript way, yeah, so we'll write this long line. So here, let me explain this, the meaning of this long line to extract that degree number. Document object, yeah, the top level object document. The whole document contains the data for the whole HTML. Okay? Dot get element by ID, call this function, with the parameter is the ID for the left triangle. So I give it name triglf, left triangle, okay, corresponds to this element. So I get a control. So after you call here, you get a control of this object. The whole element is wrapped inside that object. So you can access the data stored in that object. Then you access the data using dot operator, level by level. Okay? Yeah. The first level, dot style, you access the value of style attribute. Okay? You get into all the properties inside the double quotes for the style attribute. After that, dot transform. Then you access the value part for the transform property. Okay? Yeah. So you get a whole thing. You get this rotate parenthesis certain number. Okay? The current number. Yeah. May not be 0. Yeah. The current number, whatever it is. Yeah. That DG parenthesis, yeah. That. All right? Yeah. Then now remember, after that, the value we get is a string value. Yeah, look at that. So this value here, after we get it, it is a string value. So here, I emphasize the string value. Why I emphasize string value? Because when you do rotation, do you need to do arithmetic operation on your degree number, add certain number, right? Yeah, you need to do arithmetic operation, but you cannot apply arithmetic operation on string values, right? You have to apply arithmetic operations on numerical values. So for that reason, we need to convert string value to numerical value. Okay? So that's why. So first we need to be aware it is string value. Then we need to do conversion. We only extract, yeah, because for this whole string value, we only need to extract the numbers in this position. Okay? In that position. Yeah. Other parts we cut off. Okay? We skip, cut off, skip. Okay? Yeah. All right. So based on that logic, that understanding, first we need to skip these characters. Rotate open parenthesis. Okay? That part we need to skip. Okay? Yeah. Rotate and open parenthesis. This part we need to skip. Okay? How to skip? How to skip? We call a JavaScript function substring. Substring. We take substring. Okay? So this is the whole string. Whole string, we do not take the whole string. We take the substring. Okay? So where is the starting point of the substring? Starting location of the substring. Index 7. Index, a character. Character, index 7. Okay? Because the first character index is 0. Okay? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Throw away, right? 7, the 7th index number, this one, that's our starting point of the numerical value, numeric degree value. Okay? So now we cut off, the first 7 characters. First 7 characters fixed, because we know for the transform property, the format is always like that. So we cut off the first 7 characters. All right. Then after that, the substring hold remaining part. Okay? Remaining part. Because this trailing character, DG, trailing characters, we don't worry. Remember last time when we pass this whole string to the parse int function, we know last time, remember, we used the parse int function to extract the coordinate number, xy coordinates number. So the trailing px, we don't worry, right? because the trading non-numerical value part px truncated automatically. Here, this function truncates this deg automatically. Okay, so we do not need to do any work. Okay, yeah. Leave there, just leave there. We pass to this function, then you only get the integer number corresponding to the degree number. Yeah, that's the meaning. Then, because after this call, function call, you get an integer value. You can do arithmetic operations. Yeah. You can add certain degree number to get a new degree number. Yeah. All right. Yeah. jQuery. Yeah. jQuery slightly different. Yeah. jQuery. Yeah. So we use the much shorter. Yeah. This line pretty long. Yeah. jQuery we do the same thing but with much shorter way. Yeah. jQuery. Yeah. But the jQuery. Yeah. Here, in order to support that jQuery feature, because when I did the experiment directly, I got some technical problem. So I want to get around it. I want to get around it. So I add an extra element for the jQuery version. What's that? Input ID number. Yeah, I store. So this element, special input element, the type is hidden element. Here, I introduce this hidden element. This type of element very useful for passing the data. Yeah. Sometimes in your programs you need to pass the data. Yeah. You need to store data temporarily. So this is one way to store data temporarily. Hidden data, you store data in a hidden way. That means it's not visible. Okay? You store your data on this page, current page, but nobody can see it. Yeah. Nobody can see it. But when you need it, you can access that data. Okay? That's the hidden element. The usage of the hidden element. Yeah. Sometimes very useful. Okay? So here, in this situation, for jQuery we need to use. For JavaScript we do not need to use. Okay? Yeah, because the jQuery, I try to access from the element directly, I couldn't make it. Okay? Although I can try several different ways. Yeah, but sometimes in order to save time, I need to find a way to get around it. Yeah. So this is the way I get around it. Okay? Yeah. If I try very hard, probably I can make it. Yeah. But I need to use some special way to do it. Yeah. So here, but this hidden way also useful. Yeah, sometimes we need to store some temporary parameter values in this way. Okay? Yeah. So here, let's use it. Yeah. All right. Its initial value is 0 before any rotation. So we put that 0 value. Then each figure we need one hidden element control. Each figure. Okay. Figure number 2. Another hidden element, control figure number 2. Yeah, 10-gram puzzle, we have 7 pieces. So we need 7 hidden elements to control all 7 rotation degrees. Yeah. All right, so here, one element control this one. Okay, all right. Initial value. Then, when we need to access the value corresponding to the figure it controls, we use the jQuery function to access. Yeah. Yeah. Parse int parenthesis, the jQuery to extract. How to extract? Dollar parenthesis, double quotes, sharp, the ID name of the element. Okay? ID of this element, yeah, my ang 2, right? Yeah. So we access this element. We want to retrieve its value, So we call .val function of jQuery. jQuery has the v value function, val, .val parenthesis, so you extract its value, okay, directly. All right, yeah? So then you pass it to parse int. Then you do arithmetic, okay? Yeah. After you do some arithmetic operation, but you need to update this value, yeah, because you get a new value, okay? So you change, all right? But at the same time, you need to also update the current value, degree number here. So the next time when you do another rotation, you have a new value here, not 0 anymore. Some new degree number here, okay? Yeah, that logic. Yeah, so this is the jQuery way. Yeah, all right, yeah. Then, yeah, so the update, yeah, here I need to modify this property, yeah, after I update, yeah, because retrieval from this element, I got some technical problem, so I get around using this way. But when I modify the value, I do not have any technical problem. I can change it without any problem. So I use the jQuery way to modify this property directly. Okay, all right. Dollar, yeah, selector part, yeah. Dot CSS function. Okay, here jQuery has a CSS function. So the CSS function allows you to access this content of the style attribute. Yeah. All the properties in that style attribute. Yeah. All right. Then property name. Which property you want to access? Double quotes transform. Now you want to access the transform property. Okay. All right. Which value you want to put there? Yeah. Transform property has some specific value. This is the representation, the current value representation. Okay, yeah, using the structure. All right, rotate, open parenthesis, plus concatenation, string concatenation. Okay, ang2, yeah, because inside somewhere we need to do arithmetic operation. ang2, that's the variable. You do some arithmetic operation to change the rotation. For example, ang2, yeah, ang2, we have old value equals ang2 plus 45 degree. Okay, yeah, we update the rotation value stored in ang2 variable. Okay, plus 45 degree. Every time when you click it, we rotate the figure by 45 degree, okay, plus 45. And all right, so that integer value, you put it after this plus sign. You do concatenation, okay, because the string plus integer, it's concatenation plus double quotes degree close parenthesis. Yeah, so that's the syntax here. Okay. That's the syntax, yeah. So you complete the degree update. Then you see the figure rotated by 45 degrees. Yeah. All right, that's the logic. Yeah. All right, so in my example, yeah, after you download, play around, when you study the code, yeah, so use the explanation here so you can understand the whole logic. Yeah. Then, when you work on your puzzle example, puzzle project, yeah, so you use the similar logic. Yeah. Okay, all right. All right, so that's the programming part. Okay, yeah. All right. So next I want to, yeah, D.2 we did last time. Yeah, so here we can get out of the D.2, we jump to D.3. Yeah. So here, Yeah, let me double check if we completed. Yeah, I think. Oh, sorry. So here. Yeah. Yeah. D.3 data format. Yeah. Data format, then D.4. Yeah. So remaining, we need to do D.3, D.4. Yeah. All right. Data format. Yeah. D.3, the topic is data format. Yeah. All right. Yeah. We use that animal DB example database. Yeah. Only one table. Yeah. Yeah. I haven't uploaded. Yeah. After today's class, I will put the database script in today's class. So you can download that database, your first database in this class. Traditional data format. Let's look at the traditional data. The most popular data format, these two types. Textual, the string type, textual, okay? Yeah. Or numeric. Yeah. Numeric. Yeah. These two types are most popular. Although there are many other types. Yeah. The most frequently used, these two types. Yeah. All right. In our animal DB example, yeah, this insertion statement provides the business data for that database. Yeah. So very simple. Yeah. But from this short, small example, you can see these two data types are used, textual and numeric. Yeah. Textual, look at the names of the pets, okay? The names of the pets, yeah, included inside a pair of single quotes. Here we use single quotes, okay? Yeah. So the string values include inside a pair of single quotes, right? Yeah. That's the SQL standard. Non-numeric value should be included inside a pair of single quotes standard. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because later we will talk about double quotes, single quotes and double quotes. Yeah. The meaning is slightly different. Yeah. All right. So here, single quotes, standard. Yeah. Then you have two other fields, ID field and the votes. These two fields, integer values, numeric values, integer value. Integer value, you can see here, we do not use single quotes. Okay? Yeah. The numbers directly. Yeah. Yeah. So you can see different ways for different data types. Data. Yeah. For numerical values, yeah, so we do not use quotes. Yeah. Non-numerical values, we use quotes. Yeah. All right. And the multimedia data, yeah, you can also store multimedia data in your traditional databases, yeah, relational databases. Yeah. So let's look at a multimedia case. Binary, we know the multimedia data, they are binary data, right? Yeah, not text data, binary data. Images, audios, videos, they are binary files. Okay? Yeah. Large, yeah, could be large, right? Yeah. This kind of files, usually pretty large. Yeah. Yeah. The DBMS has a special way to store multimedia data directly, yeah, in the tables, yeah, in the table fields. Yeah. All right. So the data type, there is a special data type for this kind of data. Yeah. So the data type is called the SQL format here, blobs, okay? Yeah, big, large object, okay? Blobs, the meaning, yeah, okay? Yeah, some meaning, yeah. All right. Binary, binary large object, yeah, yeah. So the meaning of this blobs, yeah. The data type, the type is the blob type, okay? The special type, yeah. Special type, like that, yeah. Yeah. But later, although you can store your multimedia data in this way, yeah, but usually, most of the time, we do not use this way to store multimedia data, okay? Yeah, because it's not very friendly. It is not very friendly, yeah. So later I will explain there is a better way to store multimedia data in your web applications. Well, you need to access multimedia data in your web applications. Yeah. Later we will talk about a better way. Yeah. So this way, only when you have a very good reason you use this way. Yeah. Otherwise, we will use another more friendly way to store our multimedia data. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So for web application here, I talk about two possible ways for web applications. Yeah. All right. One way, store the binary data directly this way. Yeah. Most of the time, we don't want to do this way. Yeah. Because, binary data, yeah, hard to manage. Yeah, hard to manage. Yeah. So we want some more user-friendly way. Yeah. We want to use some textual way. Yeah, textual way. Yeah, man, very easy to manage. Okay, the textual way we store the information related to the multimedia data. Yeah, actually the URL. Okay, yeah, because multimedia files. When you put the multimedia files in your server machine, you have URL to access, right? Yeah. So each multimedia file, you have some appropriate URL link point to multimedia file, right? Yeah. So actually you store file paths, URLs, okay, in your databases, yeah, because those are textual data. Single quotes, a pair of single quotes. Then you put a URL there. Yeah. And leave the data, multimedia data, on hard drive of the server. Yeah. Hard drive of the server. Yeah. But you can access using the URLs. Yeah. So that's more friendly. Yeah. So this textual way, more friendly. So in our web applications, we use this way to control, manage our multimedia data. Okay? Yeah. So for that way, only when you have a very good reason, then you can use that way. You need to think about what's the good reason for it. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. If you can justify it, then you can do it. Okay? Otherwise, we won't do it. Yeah. All right, so that's the difference of these two ways to store the multimedia data in your web applications. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And another way, the textual way, very convenient, because sometimes the multimedia data may not need to be stored on our own server, right? Could be stored on other servers. For example, the video data we can store on YouTube channels. We only need to store the URLs of our YouTube videos in our databases. Yeah, right? Yeah. Yeah. In that way, because data is not on our own machine, okay? On YouTube machine, okay? Servers. Yeah. Yeah, but still very convenient. Yeah. Yeah. So that's another reason this textual way is more useful than the binary way. Okay? Yeah. All right. Data format for social media. Yeah, that's quite different. Social media. Yeah. Because for social media, first, the amount of data is much larger than our traditional data. Our traditional data could be large, yeah, could be, but social media data, so every day, large amount of data generated every minute, right? So that kind of scale. But in our usual business, we do not generate that large amount of data like the social media way. But the social media also needs another important feature that our traditional data may not have. That is fast search support, right? After user posts some, message, yeah, so whatever, yeah, hashtag, make the post searchable immediately. That requirement, that's the typical requirement for social media data. But for our traditional business, we don't need that feature, that specific business requirement. Data search requirements about the data search quite different for traditional data and for social media data. Quite different. So for that reason, the data format should also be different. Yeah. So for that consideration, let's look at the data format for social media. Non-traditional data. Okay? Yeah. Posts, tweets, images, video clips, yeah. So that kind of social media data. Large data amount, yeah. But the structure is simple. Although the data amount is very large, but the structure of the data very simple. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. So we can use a very simple way very simple format to represent that kind of data, non-traditional data. Yeah, the structure. Simplest structure. Yeah. So what is the structure? Key value pairs. Yeah, that structure. Okay. So we can use this format to represent all the social media data in key value pair. You have a key, search key, yeah, key. Okay. Yeah. So what's the search key? Hashtag, right? People use the hashtag. Yeah. So that hashtag is used as the search key. Yeah. So you have the key. Value, the post, the content of the post. Okay. So you have a key, so you have content. Content is the value. You have key value pairs. Okay. So that structure. Yeah. That's the standard structure for social media data. When you do the search, you work on the data in this format. Okay? And you want a very fast search. That's the main requirement for the social media data. Okay? Yeah. For our traditional data, business data, you don't have that feature. Okay? You don't have that feature. Yeah. Later I will talk about the traditional way. Traditional data, you also need to do the search, right? Yeah, you need to do a lot of search. Yeah. But the traditional way to search the data, yeah, you use the Google search engine. Google search engine uses the traditional way to search the data. Yeah, you can still do the search. Okay, Google search engine, very fast, right? Yeah, but you need to do a lot of work. Yeah. So later sometime I would explain the idea used in Google search engine. That's the traditional way to search data. Not a social media. Yeah, because that data is not a social media data. Okay? Yeah. So lot of background data processing work needs to be done to support fast search. Yeah, so that's the Google search engine way. Yeah. You can do the comparison. Okay. Yeah. Completely different. Yeah. All right, yeah, so but later, so because I need to use a lot of time to explain the Google search engine algorithm, the main idea of the algorithms used in Google search engine. Yeah. Yeah, not today. Today we do not have that much time. Yeah, later, sometime. Yeah. Non-traditional databases. Yeah. So there's no SQL, not only SQL. Yeah. Yeah. So that traditional databases, we can explore the relationship in our business data. Yeah. But for the non-traditional, yeah, we cannot. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. We cannot. Yeah. Because the data format is too simple. Okay? So the data as simple as this structure, then you cannot explore the relationship. Okay? Yeah, but you don't need, right? If you need to explore the relationship, you just use the traditional data. Okay? Yeah. You do not use that social media data. You use the traditional data directly. Okay? Yeah. 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 Much simpler than relational databases. Yeah. Relational database. Yeah. So when the relational databases, we can do a lot of sophisticated query operations. But for non-traditional, we cannot. We cannot do, very complex queries. What we can do? Simple search operation. Very simple search operation. Simple but fast, extremely fast. Much faster than the traditional data search. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. So here you can see the main difference. Mainly handle relatively simple data but large amount. Yeah. So that's the special reason why social media needs a new type of DBMS. Yeah. Because the traditional DBMS cannot handle the social media data well. Yeah. Not efficient. Not efficient. Yeah. Later we will dig deeper. Yeah. When we go to the Google search engine, we will dig the deeper understanding of these two different types of data. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So the most important business requirement, fast search. Yeah. And the fast search without expensive pre-data processing. Yeah. So here, because let me give you a little more information. Yeah. So here, without expensive, that means we need to do a lot of work, expensive. Pre-data processing, yeah, let me write pre-processing, okay? Yeah. So a lot of explanation here, okay? So what's the pre-processing? Yeah. A lot of story behind this phrase, pre-processing. Yeah. The main idea of the Google search engine is this pre-processing. Yeah. So I have some big stories about this pre-processing idea. Yeah, very useful in real-world applications. Yeah, yeah. Sometime, in our later classes, I talk about this pre-processing idea for fast data search. The goal is very simple. Why you do pre-processing? Fast data search. The goal is the fast data search. Yeah. Okay. after you learn this idea, so probably in your real world, you may have some appropriate situations you can apply this idea. Then you can enjoy the great results. Yeah. Yeah. Extremely fast. Yeah. I talk about the details later. Yeah. So then I hope you'll learn this idea in your mind. Yeah. Because later in your work, okay, sometimes when you have appropriate situations, you can apply this idea. Then, the result is great. Yeah. Because people know Google search engine provides some great result, right? Yeah. Comparing with what people did before the search engine available, right? Yeah. So you know that. Yeah. But this idea results in that kind of big improvement. Yeah. Yeah. I'll talk about that later. Okay. Yeah. Because we need to use a lot of time to talk about these two examples. Yeah. Pre-processing, I plan to give you two examples. Yeah. All right. Then, relationship. Yeah. So here, when we talk about these two different types of database, I mean, non-traditional and traditional. Yeah, two types. Yeah, traditional and the non-traditional. Okay. Yeah. The relationship. So the non-traditional is not used to replace traditional databases. Yeah, because they work on different types of data. Yeah. Yeah. So usually the companies, they use both. Yeah. Both. Yeah. If they need to explore the relationship of the data, they need to use the traditional databases. If they do not need to explore the relationship, they just need a fast search, immediate fast search. Then they use the non-traditional DBMS. Yeah. Yeah. All right. That kind of relationship. Yeah. Yeah. So augment traditional databases. Yeah. But the main part, the most business still use the traditional databases. Okay. So non-traditional occupy small portion. Yeah. Small portion. So here we call it augment traditional databases. Yeah. Yeah. Something like traditional databases, 90% of the time, you use the traditional databases. 10% of the time, for a typical company, a large company usually, so use 10%, things like that. Yeah. That kind of a relationship. Yeah. All right. Let me see how much time. Yeah, I only have 10 minutes. But 10 minutes, let me do the last thing for this D.4 demo. Yeah. Last time I said I want to show you some basic operations working on MySQL database server to do some simple queries operations. Yeah. Let me use the final 10 minutes to do this kind of simple demo. Yeah. So let me show you all the steps, all the details, okay? Yeah, from beginning to end. Yeah. All right. Yeah, very simple. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Oh. Yeah. Let me get out of this PowerPoint slides and run the programs. Okay, yeah, so get out. All right, yeah. All right, then, now let's start, okay? All right. Here, assume you have installed Xampp. So look at this icon, okay? Control panel, this is the icon. It's a control panel of Xampp software bundle. Okay, after normal installation, so you can see that icon. Yeah. If not on your desktop, yeah, because by default you put on your desktop. If not, then you need to find it. Yeah. For Mac machine, you need to go to the applications to find it. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So now first we start this control panel. Okay. After you start it, you see this window, and we use Apache server and the MySQL server. Okay, the top two servers. All right. By default, these two servers are not running. Okay, are not running. So we need to start these two servers one by one. Okay. First, we need to start Apache server. Click the start button. Okay, to start it. Yeah. Click. Yeah. That takes a few seconds to start. Yeah. After you see the port number, these numbers. Yeah, here the port number. Look at it. Two port numbers, 80 and 443. 80 is the default HTTP port number. Here we call default HTTP port number. We know each server needs to run on some particular port number. Okay, then outside people can access your server through that port number. Okay, find the location of your server. But the 80 port number is default port number. Default port number means when you access the server, you don't need to type the port number. Yeah. It's default. Yeah. So 80. If you use non-80 port number, yeah, you can set non-80 port number. Then you have to type the port number. Okay. Yeah. The domain name, after the domain name, you need to specify the port number. Yeah. But for web applications, usually people use the default port number, 80 default port number. Yeah. All right, so here, yeah. The first server is running. Now you click start button for MySQL server, second server. Yeah. Then running after a few seconds. MySQL server is running on the port number 3306. That's the default port number for MySQL database server. Okay, yeah. But for some students, yeah. So for some of our students, yeah, because when you take some other classes, for example, advanced Java programming, yeah, that class, then in that class, you may install your MySQL instance under different software tool. Yeah, on a different software tool. Then that software tool already has an instance installed and running. That means this port number is occupied when that instance is stored. In that situation, when you do this, your server starting operation would fail. Yeah, because the port number is occupied. You cannot run two instances under the same port number. There is a conflict. Okay? To solve that problem, you have two ways to solve. First way, you need to, yeah, so there is some control places in the tool, yeah, because you need some special software tool to run your MySQL operations. So you need to go get into that tool to disable the instance. There is some place, menu somewhere, stop the current instance of MySQL. After you do it, then this port number is available. Okay, after you shut down that instance. So this 3306 port number is released, then you can run it here. Okay, yeah, run it here. Yeah. So you start your new instance. New MySQL instance. Yeah. This new MySQL instance, yeah, then our software tool can communicate with this new instance. Yeah. If you use the old instance, our software tool cannot communicate with that old instance. Yeah. Yeah. Because the communication setup is not available. Okay, you cannot do the communication. Yeah, so here, this instance, yeah, the communication setup already ready for you. Okay, yeah. So here I explain the potential problem. Yeah, because in the previous few semesters, several students had this kind of problem. So I help them, fix. The idea is like this. Yeah. All right, now I do not have much time. Yeah, I talk about too much background information, but the remaining 2 or 3 minutes, let me just show you the basic things. Yeah. All right, access our database. Yeah. So I need to start a web browser. Yeah. Any web browser you can use. Yeah. All right, so here I just use one. Yeah. And C. Yeah. Because this one I rarely use. Yeah. So I can. Let me see. If it doesn't work, I use a different one. All right. Then you need to access Apache server. Yeah. Apache server, the domain name for Apache server, localhost. Localhost. Okay. Yeah. Localhost. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. When you see this page, yeah, this is we call the welcome page of Apache. Of the XAMPP tool, XAMPP software tool. Yeah, that's the welcome page. All the information displayed in this welcome page. Yeah. Then, because here we want to access MySQL databases, okay, we need to use a special web application. What's that? Look at here, tools. The first one, phpMyAdmin. That's the web application we want to use to access MySQL databases. Okay, you click this link, phpMyAdmin, this link. Yeah, let me click it. phpMyAdmin. Okay, it takes some time to load all the databases. Okay, yeah. I hope it's not too long. Yeah. Yeah, because we do not have enough time. Yeah, but next time we can continue. Yeah, here you see the left column. Yeah, look at the left column. That's all my databases inside MySQL Server. Yeah, I used many different databases before. Okay, yeah, so all here. Yeah, yeah. For you, when you install, you do not have so many. Okay, you have small number of databases. Yeah. All right. Let me finish it quickly. Yeah. If I cannot, then we continue next time. Yeah. Then we can access. Yeah. So here, just one more to show you. In order to enter SQL command, you click SQL tab. Okay. Click SQL tab. You have a empty window. You can type your query statement here and run on one of the databases. Yeah? But you need to select the current database. Remember, last time I talked about use database. You need to select current database. Okay? Yeah. Here, if you select one animal DB, you click this link. When you click that link, see, database : animal DB. That means this is the current database. Okay? Current database, when you click that SQL tab, you can type SQL statements against this database. Yeah. All right? Yeah? Yeah. Next time, I show you a few simple examples. Yeah. SQL command examples. Okay. All right. So, so you can get it started. Yeah. Slowly, you can work on databases. Yeah. All right, that's it. Yeah.